On behalf of all of our students, staff, and faculty, I'd like to welcome you to our fall open house. What we're going to do today is give you a little bit of information about the program. Some of you have already probably asked us questions outside, but we're going to try to go over some of that again. Shannon's going to do that in a little bit, give you information about the differences in the programs that we offer, some of the opportunities that are available after you graduate. But we thought we'd start off by giving you a little sample of what you might expect in a big lecture theater like this. So what's it like to get a first lecture, and what will the courses be like? And hopefully they'll all be this good. So Dr. Peter Lemon, who is one of our professors, he teaches in the area of exercise and nutrition, is going to give you a little presentation for a few minutes.
Thanks, Dr. Marsh. I'm going to talk a little bit about the effect of exercise intensity on body fat loss. And the reason for this is that, as you know, there's a huge increase in obesity in Canada over the last 20, 30 years. And if you're not aware of that, I want to show you a series of half a dozen slides to show the increase in obesity. And what I'm showing here is in the light blue here, this corresponds to less than 10% of the population that was overweight or over fat based on this standard, about 30 pounds over fat. And what I want to show you is that over the intervening years, how the percentage of Canadians have increased in this group and in the higher groups. So if we go from 85 to 90, you can see that now there's some darker blue here, meaning that we've got now 10 to 14% of Canadians over fat, whereas we had less than 10 5 years ago. If we jump ahead to 94, you can now see that we've got some dark blue here, 15 to 19%, so more people are fat. If we go to 2000, you get the picture here, 20 to 25%, and it just goes on, gets worse. If you look at children and adolescents, it's as bad or worse. On average, about 26% of children and adolescents are over fat. And it depends upon how you define over fat. You might see numbers even higher than that. The point is it's going up, and that has adverse health concerns. So we've tried to address that by looking at things like what you're eating and how much you're exercising. And we've found out some interesting information about the intensity of exercise. So for instance, if you exercise, you can go out and jog, and a lot of people do that. Or you can sprint. And I'm going to show you a few experimental results of the difference when you do those two types of exercise. So for example, oops. If you jog, it looks something like that. And we could do that for 15, 20 minutes, an hour, no problem. Or you could do something like this. 2, 1. Which is going as fast as you can, and in our laboratory we do it for 30-second bouts. And we ask you to do that as hard as you can for 30 seconds. We give you 4 minutes to recover, then we ask you to do another 30 seconds. And we start out doing that 4 times in a session. So it's 2 minutes of exercise. And then we work up to 3 minutes over the course of 6 weeks of training 3 times a week. And if we do that, if you look at some of the numbers here in terms of the exercise duration. So if we go down here to the bottom, exercise duration for the 6-week training program, the endurance training exercised for 13.5 hours, and the sprint training group exercised for 45 minutes. So a huge difference in time commitment. If you look at what happened to body fat, so this is a measure of body fat here, the amount of fat that you had before the program and after the program. This is the sprint group. This is the endurance group. The endurance group lost about 0.8 of a kilogram. Pretty impressive over that type of program. Those of you that are over fat would probably like that. However, if you look at the sprint group, 1.7, a little more than twice as much body fat. Some people in this group lost over 3 kilograms of body fat in 6 weeks with much less exercise, albeit more intense. If we look at performance, for those of you that are athletes, and this was a running test that took about 10 minutes prior to the study, and both groups improved similarly in terms of their performance over this 2,000-meter run. And we've done a whole bunch of other measures of performance, and the gains are similar regardless of the type of training. Couple of things just to wrap this up. Men actually lost more weight than women in this initial study, and we were a little concerned about that because women tend to have more difficulty losing body fat than men anyway. So we thought, well, maybe we don't have the answer to gender differences here. But we did a follow-up study where we just studied women. And the women in this study lost 1.2 kilograms, so not as much as the men, but a significant amount. And they lost almost 3 centimeters off their waist. So it does seem to work for both men and women. We're trying to figure out exactly how this happens. Is it because of the expenditure during the exercise and following, and that's part of it? In other words, your metabolism is elevated and your fat mobilization or utilization is increased every day that you do this, not just during the exercise, but the rest of the day. And most recently, we've been trying to look at whether this type of intense exercise has any effect on your eating habits. And we're just starting this, and I want to show you a little bit because it's really kind of fascinating. First of all, you see this and you go, oh my goodness, what the heck is that? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's just a scale of motivation to eat or how hungry are you. And the 2 lines are simply comparing a group that did this type of sprint interval exercise. That's the black dots, and they did it right here. And we were feeding these individuals in the lab 3 meals a day. They could eat as much as they wanted. We were monitoring what they were eating, and they were doing, telling us how hungry they were on a 100-point scale. And what you can see here, if you look right after the exercise, the black dots are substantially below the open symbols, indicating that there was a tendency to undereat right after the sprint interval exercise. But that's totally compensated for later in the day, so that there's a slight difference here. It is significant, but the motivation to eat was actually higher in the group that trained. So if you eat more, you should lose less fat. So despite the fact that they ate more, they still lost a tremendous amount of fat. So it's doesn't seem to be an impact on diet. Now, just before I wrap this up, I want to point out that this is one single bout of this type of exercise. And if you do this 3 times a week for 6 weeks, there might be an adaptation, and maybe you eat less after the 2nd or 3rd bout. So that's the next experiment we're going to do to see what happens when you've done this for 2 or 3 weeks. Because in order to lose body fat, you have to either exercise more or eat less, or some combination. And I just pointed out that despite the fact that these individuals exercise a lot less, they're losing a lot more body fat. So we don't know exactly why this is happening, but we do know it does happen. For those of you that want to try it, I do this regularly, and I'm old, so you can do it when you're older. It's kind of self-limiting. You can't go faster than you can. So try and run maybe a little bit harder for a little bit shorter times. It's a lot more fun. Nobody drops out of these programs. When we bring them in, we expected that everybody would say after about 2 days, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go back to my jogging. It's way easier. Jogging is easier, but this is more fun. We get about 20% people in our programs dropping out of the jogging group, and we get 0 dropping out of the sprint group. And that surprised me. I thought it would be the opposite when we started. We've had people who have been doing this for 5 or 6 years now. They started in our study, and they just keep doing it on their own because they really enjoy it. So I'll stop there and turn it over to Dr. Marsh.
Thanks, Peter. Although that's not all that we do, that's some of the interesting stuff that we do, and it gives you a little bit of a sample of what life in a big classroom is going to be like. You might also be interested to know that Dr. Lemon not only is one of our professors that teaches in the faculty, he's also our women's softball coach. So our very, very successful women's softball coach. So if there's any women who are interested in softball, he's your man. Okay. What I want to talk to you about briefly before Shannon gets up and gives you all the actual facts about the program and the nuts and bolts of what you need to know to apply and are thinking of applying, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Western in general and the transition that you're going to make from high school to a university type of an environment. Western is one of the largest and oldest schools of kinesiology in Canada. We have very large classes and usually, at least initially, about 350 people. It's a big school in general, Western is, and it may be bigger than some of the small towns you're coming from. We have about 35,000 students, so it's a very big operation. Now that bigness has some definite advantages to it. We have affiliations with medical schools, with a large intercollegiate athletic program, which you may become affiliated with. We've got a lot of varsity athletic teams, which are very successful. We have a very large range of programs, and that's also a benefit. But it also may be a disadvantage. So I just want to talk a little bit about that transition and how you can be comfortable here in that Western environment. Okay. The first thing you notice, and you're sitting in a big classroom, so you're going to notice that the classrooms in first year, as I said, are going to be large. So we intake 350 students, but the classes will probably be bigger than that because there'll be some students who are taking it as an option. Okay? So the implication of that is, although you might get an interesting and a good lecture, it's easy to get lost if you let yourself do that. All right? No one's going to know if you're teaching up here, if you're missing or are present in the back row there. So the onus then is on you to try to make these classes fun and make them successful. Okay? All the classes that are big will have a large component of TAs, teaching assistants, which will be available to help you. Okay? Our first year courses aren't offered by graduate students or TAs. They're taught by professors. Professor Heath, who teaches the motor control, is a full professor, and Dr. LaRose is an associate professor. So they are taught by full professors. Those professors are available to you if you make them yourself available to them. So you have to be a little bit proactive in a large environment like this. You have to seek them out, not let them come to get you. All right? The second thing to be aware of is things move at lightning speed around here. It moves very, very quickly. We're almost finished our first semester now. We've got a couple more weeks to go and we move directly into exams. The semesters are 13 weeks long. So what you don't want to do is get behind. Okay? Once again, that speaks back to the large classes. It's easy to miss a few classes. Nobody knows you're there. You're anonymous. Blow off a few early morning classes, and the next thing you know, you're in trouble because things have moved so fast that you've lost track of what's going on. All right? So you really do need to keep up with that. However, you're going to have a lot of competing things that will be competing for your time. All right? Because of it, once again, the bigness of the classes, the bigness of the school, we offer a lot of things for you to do. There's intercollegiate athletics, as we've got demonstrated on the board there. There's also intramural sports that you can get involved in. We've got a great intramural program. There's lots of things you can be involved in. Basketball, we have high-level basketball. We have high-level soccer, competitive teams. We've got recreational league teams in our intramural program. So if you just want to go out for the fun, there's that. They run all year round, so there's lots of opportunities. We've got lots and lots of different clubs. We had a guitar club a while ago. If you're into guitar, you could be into that. We had, believe it or not, a surf club a few years ago. I don't know if they still exist, so if you want to go surf the mighty shores of Lake Erie, you can certainly do that as well. So whatever your interest is, we've got something that can probably satisfy that interest. But the thing is, you need to strike a balance between your social life and your academic life. All right? You need to do those things. You need to do those fun things in order to make this a pleasant experience. All right? Otherwise, you can very easily become overwhelmed. You know, I was talking to some people out in the hall, and I've talked to summer academic orientation, and people say, well, I didn't do too well in high school, but I'm going to come to university and I'm going to work a whole lot harder. I'm going to study, I'm not going to do it. That's probably not going to happen. And if it does, you're leading a very one-sided life. It'll become drudgery, and you're probably going to learn to hate it rather than enjoy it. So this is a situation you want to try to avoid at all costs. Pick courses that are appropriate for you. Pick courses that you enjoy. Make this as fun as possible, but learn as much as you possibly can. And the rest of it, as I said out there, will sort of work itself out. You know, first year is going to be the most difficult year for you. It's a tough transition to go from high school where you're taking maybe 3 courses and a spare, 4 courses, to taking 5. And if you want to load yourself up with 3 or 4 sciences, that may be a bad idea if you're not suited to that. So choose wisely and make this a pleasant experience. So in order to make this more of a pleasant experience and make you more successful, there's quite a bit of academic support available to you, or student support. All right? Although the classes are large, there's university and academic programs and student services that are going to help you succeed. We have 2 counselors in kinesiology, and we have mandatory counseling in kinesiology so that everybody meets them, gets an idea of how well they're doing, and the counselors can help you plan your program and help you keep on top of it. We have student services at the university that will help you write better essays, if that's a concern for you. They'll help you learn to write multiple choice questions more effectively as well. So there's lots of support, lots of help if you need it. But once again, you have to be a little proactive there. You have to go out and go out there and get it. All right? We also have a certain amount of financial support. There are certain scholarships which come automatically depending on your grade level of when you're entering the university, and there's some that are also available competitively. But if you're not in that area, we have work studies that are available where students can work. We have some students working in our office in kinesiology doing some work for us, so you can get a little bit of money that way. There are bursaries that are available to certain groups. And there are needs-based awards. So we've got financial help as well. And all of that's designed to help you make this a little easier and make you more successful. All right? So if you can find that balance between your academic side and your social side, and you certainly need both in order to make this a good experience, you'll be successful. Mm-hmm. We have programs, as you can see, in a wide number of areas. Is this school any better than any of the other schools in Ontario that you might be considering? I'd like to think it's one of the best, but you're the one that has to decide whether this is the best school for you. All right? You need to be comfortable in the environment. You need to be comfortable with the school. So I'm sure you've had time to walk around, or if you haven't, you should walk around the campus, get a feel for the campus, maybe get a feel for London if you're out of town, and find out if this is the place that's right for you. Certainly we have programs in any area that you sort of wish to pursue. And it also provides you with a very good springboard to whatever your long-term goals and your future goals are. So if you want to go into medicine, which a lot of people do, we can help you get there. If you want to go into law school, we can help you get there as well. So welcome once again to Western, and Shannon's going to tell you all of the information you're going to need in order to get there and be successful. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg. So my name is Shannon Woods. I'm the undergraduate academic coordinator for the School of Kinesiology. One thing that I wanted to bring attention, especially for those of you who are sitting in another classroom, if you have any questions throughout the session, if you send them to this email, we can address them during the question and answer period at the end. So one of the things, as Greg quickly mentioned upon, in kinesiology and actually in the Faculty of Health Sciences, we actually started an initiative this year that is unique to Western and unique to our faculty alone. So one of the things that you will get to do as an incoming first-year student is you will get to sit one-on-one with myself or the other counselor or the undergrad chair to actually choose your classes in the summer. So you will not be responsible for timetabling on your own. You will be able to sit with one of us. We can talk about what are your career goals, what are your academic goals, and take all of those things into consideration when we help you select your courses. So that's one service we do provide so that you don't feel coming into university that you're completely on your own. We also have one-on-one course counseling in the fall. So another thing we instituted in the Faculty of Health Sciences is mandatory counseling for all first-year university students. And the idea behind this is we give you a few weeks to get settled into university, and then we bring you in for a quick session just to talk about how are things going, adjusting to university, any concerns with your classes, so that we have a chance to help you if you are having any issues before things get out of hand. Another initiative within our faculty is the Western Student Seminar. So this is basically mandatory tutorial once a week. In fact, they don't run necessarily every week. And the topics we talk about are essay writing, multiple choice exams. We have sessions on mental health. We have sessions on summer job search. So again, these are all the things that we have in place to help you transition from the high school environment to the university learning environment. And then throughout your academic career, and even in fact after you graduate, we have students who've graduated who come back for academic counseling because they're looking to do career changes. We are here to help students with anything that you may have issues with. So one of the things we're obviously going to touch upon is actually the application process, what's involved. So most of you would know that you're applying through the Ontario University's Application Centre. And there is only one program code for kinesiology because it is a common first-year program. So even if you're interested in the Bachelor of Arts versus the Bachelor of Science or Sports Management, just be aware that when you're choosing kinesiology through OUAC, you're only selecting the one code, and the decision as to which program you do pursue actually takes place after first-year university. There are 3 rounds of offers, January, March, and April. January is a very small admissions offer round. That's typically for students who have above 90s in their grade 11 courses, or perhaps students who are back doing a victory lap who have quite a few grade 12 courses completed. So don't panic if you don't get an offer in January. The majority of them don't go out until the spring. The averages do fluctuate. Typically, it's a mid-80s. So the admission average last year was around an 85. So that's sort of what you're looking to achieve. And one thing to keep in mind is that offers are conditional, so you do have to maintain your average. And scholarship decisions, the admission scholarships, those are actually made in June based on your final grade. So if your marks happen to slip after you get your offer, it could have a big impact on how much money you get coming into the university. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Touching a little bit on the admission requirements, we require grade 12 English and grade 12 biology. So those are the 2 mandatory courses you must have. We do recommend that you have a grade 11 physics or even a grade 12 physics because you will be completing biomechanics in your second year of university. However, it is not mandatory that you have it, nor will you be basically have any problems being admitted to the university if you don't have it. It is not actually part of your average or a specific requirement. Again, these are just to sort of help prepare you. The other thing that's recommended is that you have a grade 12 UMath. Any grade 12 UMath is sufficient. So if somebody wants to take data management over, advanced functions, that's not a problem. And the reason why we recommend a math is because we do require a statistics course, and there is only one statistics course at Western that you can take without having a grade 12 math. So having that grade 12 math just gives you some flexibility into your senior year course selection. Additionally, students who are interested in applying for the Bachelor of Science, it's recommended that you have at least one other grade 12 U Science other than biology. So chemistry, math, physics, that's something you should really take into consideration. With regards to students who are interested in pursuing something like medicine or dentistry, because those are common programs, you're going to need that grade 12 university chemistry, because even though we don't require it, you're going to need to take chemistry and organic chemistry and biochemistry before you sit your MCAT. So if you don't complete those courses in high school, you can't take the first year course, so you'd have to go back and take the high school course as a summer option. Just touching upon the kinesiology modules, we have an honor specialization in kinesiology, which is the Bachelor of Arts. So I would say the majority of the students graduate from this particular module, and as Greg said, we admit 350 students per year. The Bachelor of Science is a limited enrollment program. We admit the top 75 students who have the prerequisite courses after first year university. And then we have 3 really small limited enrollment modules in sports management, fitness and exercise prescription, and physical education for teaching. Those we take in 15 students per year. We also offer combined programs with the Ivy Business School, which would take you, it's a 5-year program, and you actually graduate with a kinesiology degree and an honors business degree from the Ivy Business School. And there is a combined program as well with the law school, where in 6-year period you graduate with your law degree as well as kinesiology. To do these degrees separately, it would actually take you 1 year more, so the combined degrees for students interested in that saves you an entire year of university. One of the things that I'm going to talk to you quite a bit about, and this is something I spend a lot of times with students, parents, guidance counselors, is choosing the right fit for you, Bachelor of Arts versus Bachelor of Science. We get a lot of questions and inquiries about that. So looking at similarities, they both require 10.5 of your 20 credits must be from the School of Kinesiology. Both of them include anatomy, exercise physiology. You can take athletic injuries courses, exercise psychology, ethics, sports management, and they both require a statistics course. Looking at the differences between the two, the Bachelor of Arts has a half-credit anatomy that's mandatory, and some of you have actually toured the 3D anatotorium upstairs. If you haven't had a chance, if there's still openings, you could go through. It may not be open anymore. Basically, they teach anatomy using 3D images of actual MRI and CT scans, so you get a lot of exposure to reading some medical images. And then for the Bachelor of Science students, you actually take a full credit of cadaveric-based anatomy. So for some students, this is really appealing. Other people find it very uncomfortable to work with cadavers, so that's a personal decision. I have a lot of students who say, I really want to take cadaveric anatomy. Look very closely at the Bachelor of Arts versus the Bachelor of Science before you choose an entire academic program based on one course, because you really want to look at the total picture. One comment I also get from students is, well, I don't want an arts degree. I'm not interested in that sort of thing. Kinesiology is the study of the body and the body in motion, so therefore it really isn't an arts-based program. We do have something within kinesiology called social cultural courses. So those would be like ethics courses, sports psychology, sport and the law. So if you look at the chart here, you can see that Bachelor of Arts students have to have 2.0 credits and BSc students have to have 1.0. So the difference of kin arts courses is actually only 1 credit between the 2 modules. You can also see when you look at the next category for elective options, Bachelor of Arts students have 3.5 credits, which is 7 courses of electives, meaning anything you want in kinesiology. The BSc has room for 1.0 because they have more required courses. One of the notes that I made here is that actually I have a lot of students who will say to me, the term they use is, I like kin science. And what they mean is, I like anatomy, I like physiology, I'm not so in love with studying biology and chemistry. If you feel that's the fit for you, the BA is the fit for you. You can take all of the kin science courses you want, but unlike looking at the next category for the BSc students, you are not mandated to take external sciences. So looking at Bachelor of Science students, in first year, 2 of your credits have to be sciences from biology, chemistry, physics, and math, and then you have to continue taking sciences throughout university, whereas a Bachelor of Arts student could take some sciences if they had an interest, so perhaps you were looking at applying to a physical therapy program and you needed a first-year biology. You could absolutely take that first-year biology as a BA student, but unlike the BSc students, you're not mandated to take a certain number of sciences. One of the things that we talk to students about during SAO, looking at what's the best fit for you, Bachelor of Arts versus Bachelor of Science, is have you taken several U-level sciences at the same time throughout high school? Because when you're in the Bachelor of Science, you're going to be taking 3 of them at the same time. So if you're a student who spread your sciences throughout your high school career, you may struggle with the course load of that many sciences at once. And the other thing is to ask yourself, are you interested in continuing to take biology, chemistry, and physics throughout your program, because you don't just have to take them in first year, you have to continue exploring those particular subjects. And if you're a student who needed to repeat any of your science courses in high school, it's a really good indication that the Bachelor of Science is not a good fit for you. One of the things I talk to students about and sort of try to do is dispel a lot of the myths that students have. So a lot of people say, well, I want to go into physical therapy, so I need a Bachelor of Science. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, medical school, etc., they don't require a Bachelor of Arts versus a Bachelor of Science. What they require is really competitive admission average. So, physical therapy at Western, you're looking at a high 80s average. So I tell students, choose the program that is the best fit for you, because typically that's what you succeed in, which is going to make you more competitive for those particular programs. So with regards to professional programs in Ontario, with the exception of optometry at the University of Waterloo, you can apply to any other program in Ontario with a Bachelor of Arts. It's not mandatory that you have a BSc. So by all means, the Bachelor of Science is a great program and it's a great fit for certain students, but we just like to make sure that students are choosing the right program, making an informed decision, and they have all the background information. So looking at the course requirements, you can see that all students have to take a full year of human physiology, a half course in sports psychology, and a half course in psychomotor behavior. If you're wanting to pursue the Bachelor of Arts or the fitness and exercise prescription or physical education for teaching, you basically have three options. So you want to take a language course, you want to take a psychology because you want to get that requirement out of the way for physical therapy at Queen's, or perhaps you want to take a linguistics because maybe you want to pursue a speech program. You have the choices to what you take. Bachelor of Science students, as I previously mentioned, you have to have 2.0 sciences from the areas of biology, chemistry, math, physics, or computer science, leaving you with one option. And then those students who wish to pursue the BA in sport management have to take an introduction to sociology and an introduction to business, leaving you with one elective option. So here's just sort of an example of some of the types of courses that you'll take throughout your kinesiology program. So we have exercise biochemistry, physiology fitness appraisal, exercise nutrition, which Peter Lemon just did a little mini lecture for you, muscle physiology, which Dr. Marsh teaches. We have some great theory courses in athletic injuries, and we also have social cultural courses, so like I previously mentioned, sport and the law, maybe you want to take something on the Olympics, sport marketing courses, so there's a lot of variety that you can take within KIN. And then we get to the activity courses. So like my students like to say, they play sports for Mercs. So in your second and third year of university, you actually get the opportunity to take some of these activity-based courses. We have obviously your typical team sports like basketball, volleyball, ice hockey, but we also offer things like yoga, aquafit. You can go on a bike trip to France. You can go on a canoe trip in the Muskokas. So there's a lot of different things that we offer in order for you to get involved. The activity courses are fabulous because there's only 25 students in each, and you take 4 of them in year 2 and 4 of them in year 3. So in theory, if you have different students in each section, in theory you could meet up to 200 different kinesiology students. So it's a great way to make friends with your fellow classmates. Field experiences. So at Western, we are not a co-op school. However, we do have things called, or we do have courses rather, called field experiences, which is a way for you to get involved and get some experience in the community and at the same time get academic credit for it. So we have one in coaching or perhaps sport management. You could work with the London Knights or with varsity athletics. We have field placements at the Fowler Kennedy Sports Medicine Clinic, Boys and Girls Club. And at the top of the list is the athletic therapy / sports injuries one. This is probably the most popular one. This particular course, if you follow through with our athletic injuries courses throughout, you can actually work as a trainer for one of Western's varsity sports teams and get academic credit. So for students interested in something like physical therapy, obviously this is a fabulous experience. You travel with the team, you practice with the team. If an athlete is injured, you would be the first person responsible for them on the field. So it's a really, really fabulous experience. Talking about career directions, there's a lot of different things that you can pursue graduating from kinesiology. We actually just had a career fair 2 weeks ago, and we had more than 40 college and professional programs that were in attendance that students could apply for. So obviously there's the typical medicine, dentistry, law, physical therapy, occupational therapy, teachers college. But then we have students going on to become cardioperfusionists or students going on to be paramedics. So one of the nice things about kinesiology is that you won't find it's boxed in and that you have a lot of options to pursue in either employment or studies after graduation. And one of the really exciting things that actually just happened this year is as of April 2013, you can actually pass a licensing exam after graduating from your undergrad in KIN and become a certified kinesiologist. So this is really great because there's not a lot of undergraduate programs that actually lead to an actual profession. And what's really exciting is there's a lot of the kinesiologists who work in clinics, whether they be physical therapy clinics or part of family health teams, along with doctors, nurses, dietitians. So if you have some interest in kind of looking at what those careers entail, you can check out the website, the College of Kinesiologists of Ontario. The website's on the slide there. And now basically I'm going to, that was kind of a brief overview of what we cover in our program, and I'm going to open the session up to questions and answers.
One was emailed in already. Can you expand upon selecting the program that's right in terms of getting into medical school? So, and I'm guessing it means pick a program where you're going to get better grades.
So exactly. So as I previously mentioned, medical schools do not look at whether you have a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. And in fact, a couple of years ago, the top student who got into Western's medical school came from the Faculty of Music. So it really is all about choosing that program that you're going to get good grades in. I have students all the time who opt for the BA or the BSc who go on to medical school. The prerequisites for medical school, actually there's not that many of them, and so it's completely achievable to fit them in whether you're a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science student. So it's really all about what am I going to get the best grades in. If you're a student who's really passionate about medicine but you're a little afraid of how chemistry is going to treat you, be a Bachelor of Arts student, take chemistry as a summer course when you only have to manage that particular course. So I can help you plan to get there, but it really is all about what you feel you're going to do the best in. Any questions?
Anyone? Anyone?
Yeah. So the question was, can I explain the activity courses more? So basically the activity courses are a way for you to basically learn the physical through the physical, to quote one of our faculty members. So let's say, for example, that you signed up for volleyball. You would obviously be taught skills. You would also learn some coaching techniques. So, let's say, for example, if you got a job at a summer camp or something, then you would have the instructional skills to pass that along to your fellow class, the campers that are involved. You are graded on your own performance and how you improve. So not to worry, if you sign up for something because you think it's interesting but you've never done it, don't worry that, it's volleyball and there's a varsity volleyball player on the team and you're going to be graded against them, because it doesn't work that way. It's based on your own performance. We also have a lot of applied activities. So for example, we have one on exercise for specific populations. So you actually learn how to design exercise programming for seniors, pregnant women, children. We have another combination of activities where at the end you can become a certified personal trainer. So some are recreation-based, some are team-based, and then some have more of the theory component.
If you have a question, I'll run the microphone up to you, so just put your hand up.
It's pretty much in there.
Yeah, when you take the BSc and you have to take those two, you pick two of the science courses, do you choose the two that you take?
Yeah. So the question was, obviously, what sciences would you choose for the Bachelor of Science? Yes, it's up to you between biology, chemistry, physics, math, and computer science, which one you would take. And when you come to Western for summer academic orientation, I would have a discussion with you based on what do we feel like you liked in high school, what were your strengths in sciences in high school, and then if you have any actual programs that may require science prerequisites that you hope to apply for graduation, so that you're making an informed decision based on what we think you're going to do well in, but also fulfilling requirements. Yeah.
When you look at admissions for students, is it solely based on academics, or do you look at the whole spectrum of the student?
So Western we admit basically solely on grades, so the average would be just on grades. Now I've had a couple of students contacted me when we were having one-on-one talks in the lobby there, and I had a student say, well, I was really involved in extracurricular activities, student council president, I feel like maybe that's hurt my average by a little bit. If you are a student who falls into that category, there is actually a supplementary form that you can fill out on Western's admissions website that talks about those types of things. And there also is another special consideration form. So if you are a student who has any sort of extenuating circumstances, medical, compassionate grounds that impacted your performance, again, there's something specifically on Western's website you can fill out. That is university specific and is sent directly to Western, so it's actually not part of your OUAC application.
Quick question that was emailed in. What makes Western unique compared to other BA Kin courses at other schools?
What I would definitely say that makes Western unique is breadth. So looking at the Bachelor of Arts, like I said, you have at least 7 electives that you can take. They can be anything in kinesiology. So whether it's a sport management course and you want to take athletic injuries or you want to take exercise nutrition. If you look at the curriculum for some other kinesiology programs, they're very prescribed and they don't give you as much flexibility as Western does.
If you're in a Saturday school program, how does that count towards your average? A language credit on like Saturdays?
It still counts. Like, so if you're in the Saturday school program, if you are earning like a grade 12 academic credit, then that transcript can be submitted and it would be part of your average, because your admission average is based on your biology, English, and then your top 4 other U or M levels. So providing it's a grade 12 U or M level that you're receiving credit for, it would be part of your average. So the question is, would midterm marks be included? So when Western makes admission offers, obviously if this is your first semester of grade 12 and they're giving you an offer in March, they obviously don't have your final marks for second semester. So for most students, unless they've already graduated from high school and are back, they really don't actually have 6 final grades for grade 12. So they definitely look at first semester, and if they have access to midterm marks from the high schools, they will also use those into consideration.
Can you explain a little bit about the modules that just have 15 students each, like sports management and a couple others? Why are they so small? Is there any plan to make them bigger, and what are the benefits or disadvantages of that?
So the limited enrollment modules that are only 15 students are, one of the reasons they're small, specifically let's say the sports management one, is it actually has a mandatory field experience in sports management where you have a placement course. And so we need to make sure that we have sufficient number of placements for students in that area. So hence we don't want people going all the way through a sports management program and not having a placement opportunity. So for some of the modules, it's based on the number of placement options that are available. When you're looking at, let's say, for example, the physical education for teaching, right now because the climate for teachers graduating is not great, so that module in the last couple of years hasn't even filled. So just because you're seeing 15 students doesn't mean that that particular module is absolutely not an option. You have to think about the rest of your classmates. You know, not everybody's interested in sports management, for example, or fitness and exercise prescription. So from that standpoint, it's not like we turn away tons of students every year from those modules. The majority of them that meet the averages would get into those modules.
If you start out in the Bachelor of Science program and you decide that maybe the Bachelor of Arts would be a better fit for you, would it be a difficult switch? No,
so it's not a difficult switch at all. And one of the nice things about having a standard first-year program is that we could sign you up for those 2 sciences because you're thinking you might want the Bachelor of Science. And then if you decided after first year that you were like, no, I really didn't enjoy those sciences, I definitely want to be a BA student, that's not a problem at all to do that. And in fact, if you signed up for those sciences and you came in to see me in October and we're talking that I'm really not liking the sciences already, I could make switches for your second semester. So there's definitely, it's very easy if you're setting yourself up for the Bachelor of Science and decide you want the BA to go the opposite direction.
Shannon, an email question. What kind of basic courses would you take with a BA, and what type of electives can you take?
So obviously, all students have to take the first-year courses of physiology, psychomotor behavior, and sports psychology. Second-year BA students would have to take anatomy, exercise physiology, biomechanics, and a full credit of activities. There is a mandatory research design course prior to graduation, and then the rest is entirely up to you. So like I've said, you want to take sport marketing, you want to take exercise health behavior change, you want to take a sport in the law course, you want to take athletic injuries, you want to take a rehab course. There's a lot of variety. For those of you who want to look further on the kinesiology course offerings, if you go on our website, you can actually read the full detailed course offerings. And if you go into the link called Modules and Programs, you can pull up these little PDF checklists that we have for our students that outline the courses that are required for each of the modules, so that might help provide you some information.
I have 2 questions. What was the average for med school at Western this year?
I'm not sure what the GPA cutoff is, but typically you're looking at around at least a high 80s average for medical school in any of the medical schools in Ontario.
And for your top 6 on your transcript, you want all 4 courses next semester on that transcript. How do we ensure that our marks would be on that before March? even though that you don't have our midterm marks?
So for the most part, a lot of, I don't know if Neil, you can comment on this at all, because Neil's worked in admissions and liaison services, so he would be the better person. As the undergrad coordinator, I actually don't see your application. I don't actually work with you until you're admitted.
Thanks. The admissions office gets the transcripts from the Ontario University Application Center, and your secondary schools send the transcripts directly to the application center. So if you have completed grade 12 credits and midterm marks for other credits, they're looked at equivalently from the perspective of calculating your average. And then any offer of admission that goes out is a conditional offer, and that condition is that you successfully complete all the credits, have the required courses completed, and have an acceptable final average. So you don't have to worry about getting those marks in. It's all done for you as long as you've submitted your application online.
We are going to go with a couple more questions, then Shannon will be available at the front. Neil can probably also answer some, and then there will also be representatives out in the lobby for the next half hour, hour or so to answer some questions. So we have one more here.
Shannon, what percentage of the graduating kin class go on to graduate school, and what would the top 3 areas of graduate school or types of graduate school that they would go on to?
So I guess I would say the majority of my students go on to education afterwards. However, some do go on to college programs. So I did mention something like cardioperfusion at Michener Institute or chiropractic college. I would say probably at least 80% of my class goes on to pursue something afterwards. Top 3, physical therapy is definitely up there. I know when I polled my current class, 43% of my current class wants to be physical therapists. Obviously, that's not an option for everybody. Physical therapy, occupational therapy would definitely be the top 2. The third, you'd probably see a combination of medicine, chiropractic college, osteopath, naturopathic medicine, so kind of a smattering of those other health-related programs.
2 quick web questions to finish. One is, can you explain the IV-kin connection? And then there's a second question, is the success rate of 350 first-year students moving to year 2, and what's the dropout rate?
So we actually have as much space, I'll address the second question first. We have as much space in year 2 as we do in year 1, so providing you achieve a 70 average, no grade less than 60, you will be in the School of Kinesiology the following year. I don't have specific stats, but I would say probably at least 80–85% of the actual class meets that requirement. Obviously, in any university program, you do have students who get over-involved in extracurricular activities or perhaps really struggle with the content that drop off. But the majority of the students do progress with kinesiology. If you are the unfortunate one who does not, we can definitely work with you to help you get back into the School of Kinesiology in a subsequent year. So that's something we can help with students as well. With regards to the IV-kin connection, the way that works is you actually spend your first 2 years in the School of Kinesiology. That being said, if the person who wrote in the email is a high-achieving, meaning 90% or above high school student who has strong extracurricular activities, they can actually apply for the academic excellence opportunity, which is something that Ivy has. It's a conditional offer, and if you're admitted, you have to maintain an 80 average in your first 2 years of university, and then you're guaranteed a space in the Ivy Business School for 3rd year. So the way the combined program works is 2 years of kinesiology, year 3 is HBA, and then years 4 and 5 you take courses from both programs, and you graduate in the end with both degrees. If you were to do them independently, it would take you 6 years, so it's saving you 1 year of university.
Alrighty, we will wrap it up. Shannon's going to be available down here. So we could probably go on forever. So Shannon's going to be available down here. We thank you all for coming. There's lots to see and do on campus today. There are campus tours, there's residence tours, there are tours through the Student Rec Center, and we will also be out in the lobby to answer questions and find the students in the shirts with the hearts on them. Thank you.